I'm Eric.
And I'm Steve.
No Money November.
Wallet fatigue.
Let's talk about it. Welcome, Planeswalkers, back to Let's Talk About It, Episode 7, the Halloween 2017 edition.
Woo.
Today is October 31st. Boy. And we're going to talk about the evil force of Wizards product.
Yes.
It's not evil, of course, but looking back, it's kind of shocking and horrifying. Maybe how much money, like Steve said, has flown out of your pocket this year.
Well, and I, it would be interesting to do a comparison to other years and see how far off we are on that. I think we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Although, as we've talked about previously, like 2 master sets and all kinds of stuff like that, that's definitely brought that up. That's $240 a pop, there. So
yeah. Let's just break into it as far as what's coming up in the future, and you'll see what's in the past. So on most people's radar, I think there's probably 4 or 5 products that people are thinking for, and this is the first time they've actually swapped things. Normally, we're just looking forward to Commander.
Yeah.
And FTV is done, all that stuff, but
next could be a big part of this too.
And I kind of think it is. Next thing coming out, Sealed Wizards product is November 10th, Merfolk vs. Goblins. Mm-hmm. So not so bad. Only $20.
And as you said, we've done a breakdown of this, so if you guys want to check that out, it's like episode 5. Yeah, no, episode 6 actually.
Yeah, pretty recent. We were in the shop for the new area, I think, for that one. But yeah, $2, $10 each, essentially. Non-standard kind of theme. There's some good stuff. Like you think of Krenko and like. Yeah,
I would say Krenko's definitely one of the big ticket items.
Yeah, Shared Animosity, right?
And then there was a blue card. I can't remember what it was though, but a lot of interesting interesting reprints in there. Yeah, and the next one, of course, we'll take a look. Is the big guy. Oof,
Iconic Masters. Yeah. So this is the week after. Not that the Merfolk vs. Goblins is anything super crazy. And one thing we do want to say here, these are like MSRPs. Yeah. So of course, if you look online or at your card shop, like pre-ordering is not going to be the $240 or like full $10 a pack times 24 packs. Yeah. So it'd certainly be less, but all the numbers we've kind of gone with what Wizards is suggesting. And of course, for some of it could be worse, like depending on what's in front of the Vault Transform, that could be up. Well,
and I would say Iconic Masters is one of those that kind of stick to the price, because I don't, if anything, higher, because most of the boxes that I saw on the internet, at least for the last couple of master sets, have at least been $20 to $30 higher than the MSRP.
Just by a little bit, and it doesn't feel like a reach. Like you think of other sets where it has been like $30 or $50. Like if you're buying a box, pre-ordering a box anywhere, like check your local stores. I bet somebody'd have a deal. But yeah,
like these are not sold at like Walmart or Target or anything like that. This is like a call that?
It's like a premiere. You get an allocation from Wizards and stuff, and then that's kind of like the bonus to being a shop, I guess. I'm sure online vendors get them and stuff, and then people can sell online too, that sort of thing. But it's definitely most likely you're not going to be paying $240 unless we joked if Ebenezer Scrooge runs your card shop, he might be paying MSRP for all this stuff. But Iconic is going to be a big one. There's luckily a lot of value. I think to most EDH players, kind of like you and me, that's worth it.
Well, they've said this is the EDH Master set. Yeah, I mean, I definitely see it.
Yeah, I'd agree. It looks pretty sharp, and boy, there's some good stuff.
Yeah, it really is. Those dragons.
Yeah. Next we've got Explorers of Ixalan. That one, maybe not on everybody's ticket. I know we're looking to pick one up for out-of-box gameplay. It's pretty unique, and sometimes that can be a big driving force. Like,
well, as we talked about with Arch Enemy Nicobolas, sometimes, especially, when you've been playing for as long as we have, it's refreshing to get into something that's just a little bit different. Yeah. Like, you're not taking it and reinventing the game or anything like that. You're just taking it and adding another element to it. And I think this is another product that's perfect for it. From what I've heard of it, it actually sounds like a blast. Yeah. Like, I like the idea of the tiles. I like the idea of adding, like, a game board element to it. I mean, that, once again, even expands on what we talked about with Arch Enemy Nicobolas, because that kind of feels like a board game. Mm-hmm. You're still playing Magic, but it's kind of weird because it's 3v1. Where this is like, you're all against each other, it's a 4-player board game, and you're using the cards to supplement what you're doing on the board.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like, like I said, just enough to make it different and more interesting to some people.
Yeah.
Like, once again, you know, I've been playing forever, and EDH has kind of gotten a little stale for me at the moment, but adding something like this in there to change things up is a really good thing.
And hopefully it will provide a few, like, I don't know, nobody's seen it, right? Like, no. Fully.
I think there's like a list of 20 cards that are out so far, and we haven't really seen what all the tiles do. We know what a few tiles do, but not enough to really even necessarily know what the game's going to be like.
Right. I'd be curious if you could build around those tiles. That's what I was thinking.
I'm sure
like,
you could.
Yeah.
And then, like we were talking about earlier, like, think about like the space this opens up for Wizards. Like, how many different products now they can release, you know, talking about wallet fatigue. You know, they could do 2 of these a year, no problem. And it doesn't have to be centered around a set. They could use this as a reprint vehicle, you know, just like as they are this time with shared animosity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, keep the value of some cards down, whatnot. And then, once again, just have another good thing to sell around the holidays. Because, I mean, this is a perfect holiday thing.
I think that might be why they're bringing it around. Like, it's newer than the standard set, and I think it has the crossover for board game players. And then even if like say somebody doesn't know what they're shopping for, they might say, "Oh my gosh, that sounds fun! Like my husband, boyfriend, whatever, girlfriend could love this. I'm going to pick this one up and try it out." That sort of thing.
I would say it's way better than the holiday gift box.
Yeah, that's,
you know?
Yeah. Is that on our full list?
It is on the full list.
Yeah,
it's not on this list because it came out last month, but that's definitely one of them.
Yeah. And then I think the next big thing, for November, we might have missed From the Vault somewhere.
Is it coming out in November?
I thought it was in November because the only thing in December I think is Unstable.
Oh, well, this is the total sans the From the Vaults. So $324.98 for all 3 of these products. So if you think about it, you're buying each one of those plus what, $35 for From the Vaults?
Assuming there's not like 3 Jace Vryn's prodigies in there. Like,
well, but the MSRP should always be the same.
Yeah, I guess you're true. Yeah, like that might help even things out.
Yeah,
like,
and you know, I doubt this will be a really hot ticket one. Honestly, I think this will be kind of one of the, you know, even if there's definitely they would be really dumb not to include Jace in this. You know, that card is an iconic flip card in my opinion at this point. It's probably one of the better ones they've made. Same with like Huntmaster the Fells, and you know, they could even include some of the Kamigawa ones that just turn over. I would consider that a flip card.
I'd say so, yeah.
Somebody even talked about like adding in like Brazella or whatever the hell that thing is. That
the
2-card.
I forget the Eldrazi. I forget the name of that, but
it's I can't even remember. It's such a bad memory for me. So
it's a shame.
That weird section of whatever happened with Eldrazi.
But
anyway. $324, that's quite a bit of money if you think about it. That's 3 weeks. That's how much money you'd have to come up with to get each and every one of those products for this month so far.
Not including tax. Here in Colorado it's 8%, so that's another $24 at minimum. Like that's rough.
And I don't know about you, but I don't have that just sitting around.
No, luckily in some companies don't do a good job of this. There's a lot of like, we've known about this. Think about now, how far out we know, and we know like Magic 25 is next year. We know Dominaria might be nutso. Like, we can assume there's going to be another Commander set. So if you're one of those people, like, you could save, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, $324, and like, I was thinking about it today when we were kind of like building this idea. I can think of a number of people that just say, put me down for 3 boxes.
Yeah.
Of standard stuff, like, and then that's just like, we're way. I mean. That's that right there, you know, depending on what you buy. So man, oh man, it's tricky.
Well, I guess you know, you have a unique perspective on this because you actually run a shop where, you know, I just kind of buy the products. Do you notice this from a lot of people, especially around this time of year, where they're coming in, they're just like, what do I buy? What should I buy? I can only afford this, blah blah blah. It
does seem like that, and you made the comment earlier in this one. It sometimes happens with like the Masters stuff, or like Conspiracy 2. I think, and like, I wonder if it'll happen with Unstable.
I'm sure it will. You know, a lot of people have said that's the nail in the coffin for that set because, first of all, the interest really isn't there. Like, it's like, okay, you know, like players like Kylie and like us, you know, we look at it as for something different, but standard players, they don't give a crap about that.
Right, and I think something during the holidays. Like that's a good question. I wish like.
Because I mean, the only thing that I think most people will even look at from that product is the full art lands.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously that's amazing and ridiculous, but it seems kind of ridiculous to me to open up a pack, pull out a land, and that's it. I mean, yeah, they're going to be like, what? I think the price on them is like already $7 a piece
for a regular one.
Yeah, for a regular one.
Yeah. I bet that'll settle for sure.
Well, they're going to print this to probably Kingdom Come, and people are just going to open them up all the time. And well. Once again, this could be a resurgence of like a Lore One thing, you know, where the popularity not Lore One, that's a bad example, but you know what I mean. Like a set that doesn't necessarily sell well, but they made a lot of it, kind of thing. Not everybody opened it, and like a couple of years, it might be, you know, $10 a pack or something like that.
Yeah.
But you look at like the Unglued and Unhinged sets, like right now, the packs are expensive, but the individual cards are nothing.
There's like, you know, the like Mox Opal and Richard Garfield and that sort of thing. Like, I don't think there are people, and I've heard them, like, they'll say, I'm buying a case of this, and I'm going to draft it, and I'm going to buy a case, and I'm going to keep it in a closet. Like, but I think for most people, that's not how they'd approach it. I mean, think of that. That's, assuming you get a good box price / case price, that's like probably like $800 to $1,000, $1,200. Like,
where do you see boxes of this selling at? Like after, let's say, in 5 or 6 months after it releases.
I think if it's anything like, because I haven't looked into it as far as if it's got allocations. Like I'm thinking of Eternal. Well, not Eternal, Iconic. I hope they don't do what they did with Eternal Masters and say, oh, here it is, and then we get it for 2 weeks, and everybody goes bananas, and then they say, oh, hey, it's February, and we got to get people's like engines warmed up again, so here's more Eternal Masters.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
Eternal Masters, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if that happens with Iconic. To answer your question about Unstable, if I think of like Conspiracy 2, there's not as much interest normally. I think there's even less interest because, like you said,
I would say 100%.
It's what are you gonna do with a bunch of silver cards, right?
Yeah, like besides play with your friends, like you can't even take that to an EDH league night,
right?
And that's like super casual, you know, in comparison.
Yeah, I think this is definitely gonna be a kitchen table thing. I think in 6 months, let's say, I think box prices will be down. I think stores will probably have product. I think we'll have product. But if you look like 3 years out, I think enough of it's going to be picked up, opened up. The basic lands might be. I think the price of the basics might go down to $3. But people are still going to say, "Boy, if I get a foil island."
Oh yeah, that's like $70.
Right. I'm gonna spend $12 on this pack, and then you'll see them trickle out that way.
Which is so like bizarre to me. Like, if, in my opinion, if Wizards knew that this was going to happen, and they should know, you know, they're the ones that are releasing the product, so I'm sure they've done a ton of like research on it, and they may know something we don't, but I would kind of, and they may do this, I don't know, we haven't seen the set yet, but I would definitely supplement this set with like real cards.
And I sure hope they do, because otherwise,
even if they're silver bordered, like, well, I guess that wouldn't make them legal, so
I'm thinking the one hint or the one shining gleam of light that makes me think that they might do that is Steamflogger Boss.
Yeah.
Like,
that's kind of where I'm taking the approach on it too.
Like, imagine what's another great card? Like, well,
even just goofy stuff that's good in EDH. I mean, like, it doesn't really. You know, what's a good example? I'm trying to think.
I'm thinking of the squirrel cards.
Yeah,
like, that's a card people go nuts for. Yeah. Its home is in this set. Of course, there's all these old sets with squirrel cards, but like, just print like a deranged hermit or something like that. If you get a foil of that, I mean, I remember I used to look at one at another shop that was like $10 for a foil. Like, I don't think anybody'd be upset with that. And they say, okay, I'm going to build a squirrel / acorn EDH deck now, and like Doran Siege Tower is going to be my commander. You know, like I think, boy, if they don't do that, I think people will be like, this. Why would I buy this?
Yeah, or even maybe not even reprints. Maybe make new like Eternal, like, I guess it's not called Eternal, but cards that are legal in Legacy and Commander and blah, blah, blah. Make new cards for that, just Commander cards.
And just put them in the set.
Yeah, I mean, that would sell the set at least.
Yeah.
But then again, you have the whole argument that, is my rare going to be something that I can actually use, or is my rare going to be something that I can only use in this draft? So, I mean, that really doesn't solve the problem too much.
I hope that conversation at minimum came up.
Yeah.
Because if that isn't like discussed, I think that's a huge oversight.
Well, and there's a reason we haven't seen one of these in a very long time.
I think you're right.
It's the sales just aren't there, and there's a bunch of reasons for that.
Yeah.
If this was something they released yearly, then maybe there might be a demand for it because people would be playing that format. Like if there was an unhinged format, for example, and people just played like wacky cube stuff or wacky EDH stuff, like that would kind of make sense. Then there would be demand, but as I see it right now, the only demand for it is drafting it and doing what we're going to do with it.
Open for basic lands and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And
or to store it.
Yeah. And I don't see the point of having something be carried by your basic lands. That just seems bizarre.
Yeah, boy, I don't know.
I like how we've gone off on this tangent about
unstable.
Yeah, we didn't even think about it, but
no, we really didn't.
Really, it's definitely a thing that, as you talked, how we got into this whole thing is just like, after you spend $324 plus, $350 or $60 even after you do the from the vaults, are you going to want to spend any money on a product that you're not going to use anymore?
I bet we'll sell a lot more. Well, the more frequent sale will be packs.
Yeah.
Even a few at a time. Like I think we just recently sold out of Modern Masters 3 at the shop, like last week.
Okay.
But those went 2 packs a week. Like I think in Conspiracy was kind of saying, give me a couple Conspiracy, like that sort of thing.
Which sucks. Conspiracy 2 was such a good set.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Especially for Commander.
It was a Commander haven. Like, oh my, the cards in that set were just like, are you kidding me?
So hopefully they do a little bit of that with Unstable. Do we know?
Could you play say you have a silver bordered version of something that is legal in the format? Could you still play that silver bordered card?
I don't think so, because I thought overall I think all silver border cards would not be legal. So the only way
it's not like that card exists kind of thing. This is the dummy version of that card. It's almost like the
proxy version. Yeah, the collector's edition. I think what they would do, if they sprinkled in cards, they would have 2 separate, and they'd say, here's your black border cards, here's your silver border cards. Like, that'd be the only way to do it, because otherwise you'd be printing proxies essentially.
I almost feel like that's the wrong way to do it, though. It's so I'm so like torn on this whole thing.
It's tough. And maybe there's a lot less jokey cards, and there's more like, this is a card and it's wacky. Like,
well, I know we're staying on this again, but in my opinion, this is a thing that you go 100% ham on, though. Like, you hit the wall with, like, this is
all of this stupid stuff.
Yeah, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, and it works because it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go, like, half joke on things.
I think you're right.
It's just like, okay, this makes 3 Thopters, but then one of your Thopters turns into a pineapple. It's just
he's a half-half, power toughness,
Okay. Whereas if it makes 3 Thopters that are each a 1/4 of a power, then that is kind of like, okay.
I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's fun to speculate, but it's also like, it's tough. It's really tough.
How much, I don't know if this is getting too far into like store business, but like, how much of this would you, I guess, get to sell? Like, you don't know, like, if it's not allocated.
Yeah, I don't think it's allocated. That's why I said it would probably be something like Conspiracy.
I guess my main question is it too much of a risk to get into a lot of this and then, maybe not sell it?
I would definitely not get as much as a standard set. Like, we usually know where to order with our, and I don't know exactly how much, because I think I ordered it, probably at least weeks ago, if not, 1 or 2 months ago. But yeah, the question is like, where does this fall?
Because like, think about it from the perspective of like a new store. Mm-hmm. Like this, spending a whole bunch of money on something like this and then having no return from it could essentially sink that store.
Or one that takes 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, the CollectorMania is a shop that's got unstable packs.
Yeah.
And they're $10 each, and we're like, here's the last box, and you brush off dust. Like it. Like, that is a risk.
Remember when we used to use cell phones?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
now they're
we'll
in
be
my glasses.
in the space age, but depending on how the set shakes out, but it's maybe not scary, but it's something to consider. It's unknown. We weren't open when the last one was out a decade plus ago. Like, of course, you hear all these stories of, oh man, that was super cool. I remember drafting that, this and that. I remember this time this thing happened.
Well, Kylie can't say enough good things about it. But like I said, from my perspective, it's just like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I know we've got we've got a pre-order list. I don't think it's very long,
No.
and we are requiring a deposit because if somebody wants it, and if somebody wants a refund, that's fine. But like, you know, the last thing we want is, let's say 20 people sign up and they say, "Oh boy, I can't wait. This will be the good old days of Unhinged and Unglued,"
and then that happens to them, and
then they're like, "Oh my God, this is all nothing," and I have no friends that want to do this with me. Like, nobody's gonna draft, nobody's gonna play, and then they don't come get their pre-order. You know. So, boy, it's a weird one. I think that's a good thing. I mean, we talked for probably 15 minutes on it.
We're gonna have to put like in like brackets, like and
unstable, and then we're probably gonna be doing an unstable episode later. You know, like,
well, as soon as we start seeing spoilers for the actual set, I mean, what we know, like 2-3 cards, maybe 5 total. Yeah. You know, as soon as we actually start seeing some of like what's going to be happening here, and really the main thing, as we've talked about before, I think that this is going to be like a cube thing as far as like continuing on. You know, it's just like any set like this where like people have built unglued, unhinged cubes before, so
and like I think the same thing with Conspiracy. There's so many cards that are worthwhile there too to have in a cube, that sort of thing. So we're gonna let's move on here really quick, and we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna blind this. So this is pretty
sorry guys, I realized our microphone was backwards that entire time, so we probably sounded pretty funny and I kind of felt it while I was listening to this, and I was like, this feels a little boxy. But now that I've actually got it turned around, audio is back up to quality again.
Cool.
And the only reason I noticed is because Greg's over here eating some fries, and I could hear him better than I could hear us. I was just like, what the heck's going on here? So anyway, I apologize.
Oh, you're good.
We should have seen I should have seen the back over here, but now we're good. So, and we were just talking about unstable anyway, so we're just being a little unstable.
So looking, again, $230+ at MSRP in November.
Yes.
And that's not great.
No.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Probably going to get a discount, but the thing that's really kind of crazy, we're going to go away here.
Oof.
This is all the stuff that's come out. And in the bottom right, you can see, like, essentially if you bought one of everything, we didn't include fat packs. You know, if you look, Aether Revolt is a set, they're Planeswalker decks. First Master set is the Modern Masters. Another dual deck, another set, another Planeswalker, you know, all that stuff. Like, this doesn't include fat packs or anything, and we're at $1,853 for this year. Yeah. Again, odds are you're not going to spend all of that, because you're probably going to get some, you know, marked off as a pre-order discount or a bulk discount or whatever, or you're good friends with a shop owner or something, or you buy online, whatever. But, man,
that's a lot of money.
It's a ton of money. And like you said earlier, Steve, I'd be curious to see if, I think we should do this next year and say, this is all the stuff that came out. Are we better off or worse off?
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm trying to think back of when I felt like I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I think maybe like C14. I think I picked up one, or I think I just bought Duretti, and I didn't buy the other 4 commanders for monocolored planeswalkers, but it was just like, man, I can't, you know, it was just too much, you know. So
yeah, I mean, it's a thing. I mean, like I said, not everybody's made out of money, not everybody can spend all this money on. The thing is that the people that, I don't know, are really into this usually can, though. That's the weird thing, is because people will dedicate essentially a fund to this. Like, I mean, I essentially set up like almost like a savings for myself, almost like you talked about at the beginning of the episode. Like, I allocate a certain amount of money per month towards Magic
and stuff.
So it's just like I have that built up already. But when you start talking about, like, you know, kids that are doing this and people that are just getting into the game, whatnot, that can be a little bit daunting for them, especially for their parents. You know, if they're seeing these kids spend, oh my gosh, Timmy spent $328 this month on cards. Like, you know, what is that parent going to say? Like, you need a new hobby. You know, like, you know, why aren't you learning how to play music or something?
I think back to when my parents used to bring us down to the shop every Saturday, and I think my allowance was like $4.
Yeah,
and $4 covered a pack of Star Wars. So, like,
you
know, like, it doesn't even cover a Magic pack with tax nowadays.
No.
Like, you know, it's a lot. I think most people don't consume Magic, especially sealed product. They don't consume it all like that. So like, it's a little tricky to say. But I think if you look at that, I'm sure Wizards says somewhere on their calculation, they see a person like that says, here's all the releases, I'm getting one of each, you know. And that's maybe where they make some of their decisions. Like,
yeah. I think Greg had something.
Chirp in?
Yeah.
Because I use the excuse because I am older,
sure,
a lot older, but I could be spending a lot of money in a bar, somewhere,
something else, you know,
and use that analogy.
Yeah,
it's actually a decent price.
It is, and you know,
it's a hobby. I mean, that's what it is.
Right.
Like that's the way that us that are obviously older look at it. But getting back to what I was saying, like you look at like a 17-year-old kid, like going back to the allowance thing, like they have a fixed amount of whatever to spend on Magic per whatever, and going back to the parents thing, it's just like if my kid was spending $324 on something I didn't understand, like would I give them that money? No.
Yeah.
Well, would you give your kid $324 anyway? But
and we get that from time to time, like, and even people returning to Magic or people that have quit, they'll say, "Man, thank God I'm out of that," and the money goes somewhere. Like,
well, look at PlayStation 4, Xbox games. They spend $60, $70 on a game, play it for a couple of months, and then it sits.
Yeah.
You think of like,
at least this, you could sell those games, but you could trade. There's a lot of things you could do with the Magic.
Yeah.
Well, if you're smart. That's the main thing.
Or not attached.
I just hoard them, so it's like,
That's a tough part for most people.
We've seen your collection, Greg.
But really, I mean, if it's not Magic, it's video games. It's not video games, it's car parts. If it's that, I mean, really, it's endless. Like, it's kind of a sick joke, but I joke with some parents. They'll say, "Oh, Magic's expensive, right?" And I say, I've been doing all this geeky stuff for like close to 20 years now, and I don't do drugs. Like,
I don't do drugs.
You see that all the time on the internet. Where
there is that joke, yeah.
Yeah, save your kids a drug habit and make them play Magic.
Get them into Magic.
Yeah. It's tricky.
Well, and I had this, I guess, conundrum not too long ago with Destiny. Mm-hmm. Like, you remember.
And you're talking Star Wars Destiny.
Yeah, Star Wars Destiny. It's just like, I had the same thing with Warhammer. A lot of people were trying to get me into that when, I first started coming around the shop. It's just like, how do I allocate my funds more efficiently in order to do both these things? It really doesn't feel like you can do that, especially with, a list like this.
Yeah.
There's every month. And that's the same with Warhammer. That's the same with Destiny. Like, they constantly spit out new products for you to buy, which is obviously that's what their goal is.
Yeah.
But when does it become too much? And that's where I think our main argument is here. Like, as we looked at the calendar that we had pulled up, there were 2 months where there was like zero product.
I think it was May and
March.
August
no, it wasn't March. It was May and something early. But
February. Yeah.
So my main point is if you look at 3 years ago at this same kind of run up, like what was it like then? Were there less?
I'd say it was less. I mean, like, the thing that did it this year for me, you'd mentioned it, two master sets. Like, every 2 sets are going to have either a Planeswalker deck or a dual deck. So 2 of those this year is normal. 3 or 4 standard sets is normal. There was no conspiracy this year?
No, that was last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 1 specialty set makes sense with Unstable versus Conspiracy. 1 commander set. We had 2 like extra sets, as far as I guess 3 this year. We had the I would consider commander anthologies.
Oh yeah.
Plane Chase anthologies.
That's one I keep
Argent
forgetting about.
Nicobolus and this Explorers Vixilon. So right there's 4 things when we might get one of those. We might get a new Plane Chase from time to time. We might get a reprint of something like, but man, there's a lot more,
Yeah.
I used to feel that there was maybe instead of 2 off months, 4 off months.
Yeah.
Where there wasn't anything.
But
well, now it's not the case.
To me, it used to feel like all the product was centered around when the standard sets were coming out. Now it's like they're trying to fill any of those gaps that they can.
With other stuff.
Which, from a company standpoint, definitely makes 100% sense. They're trying to make as much money as they can, maximum profits. But, once again, wallet fatigue is definitely a thing. If your player base can't afford your game, then they're going to go do something else.
Yep.
Or they're going to do less of what you want them to do.
Yeah.
So, in the end, are you really grossing that much more, or are you kind of shooting yourself in the foot?
And I'm sure to Wizards, they care once the product's out their door, like in a box and on a truck.
Well, and I heard an interesting argument about that too, is a lot of this Wizards probably doesn't even see.
No.
Because they allocate it to somebody that distributes it to the store, like you.
And then we buy it from the distributor.
All of, from the chain, it's already sold. Yeah. They've made their profit.
And that's why...
Yeah, look at their overhead.
Yeah.
They're making cardboard.
Yeah.
They're not adding dice like Destiny. No. They're not adding a lot of things.
Which in reality, they should add dice. I mean, they add dice to a lot of products. But I mean, as we talked about with the last release, like in Hour of Devastation, Amonkhet, they hit it right on the head.
God, yeah.
Those dice were amazing. They made me excited to open up the stupid pack for the dice.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get the holiday pack and it's this stupid,
like, the gate crash ones
generic, like, green and white, like blue and red. I'm so tired of those.
Because that's how they've always looked. But
yeah, but that's so like.
I hear you, and I think.
Well, and even with the Ixalan, like they could have done a gold one, and I would have been happier.
Yeah.
Instead of all these like black and white speckled, because for me it doesn't. It this sounds ridiculous, but it ruins the immersion.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I know that's usually like a video game
thing,
I mean,
but think of how many times people like you said they nailed Amonkhet.
They did.
And then they just regular ones.
I mean, it's got the Bolas Horn logo on it, everything. I know they do that for every set, but like it's that nice, really ridiculous red or the blue with the gold lettering or whatever, and it's just like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
With Ixalan, it could have been like I said, it could have been gold and black. I would have been happy because that's a treasure. Like
or
that would have
jade
made
or something.
Yeah.
Like,
man. And that's so. In my mind, that's so easy. They're gonna make the dice anyway. They're gonna make the mold anyway. What's the difference? What's the difference between changing the color of the dice?
And the tokens. When they made it two-sided tokens, that was smart.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing that now for.
Well, they for FNM promos they are, but of course I think there was one foil promo. I know the Avacyn Werewolf Human token that was long ago that was double-sided, but now they're doing that, and I think. Some people say, is that a worthy FNM reward? But back in the purple set, Savage Innistrad, Elbridge Moon.
The purple set.
In those pre-release kits, you had the foil zombies.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
That was ridiculous.
And it probably costs you pennies, like you said, Greg. But
he's 100% right. The overhead on all of this is nothing.
Right.
And Wizards could be doing... I mean, that's how you get people excited about this stuff, especially the established players. Yeah. You don't say we're releasing 20 sets this year. You say we're adding supplemental things like cool dice and cool tokens and blah blah blah. Those little free add-ins,
extra chances.
That can really make. I mean, they kind of touched on that with like the masterpieces and blah blah blah, and that kind of was a whole different goal for them. That was to make standard more affordable and whatnot. But now that we're out of that era, thankfully. And we're maybe going to do that like once a year. I've kind of heard that like theory is that they're just going to do it like for one set. We'll probably see a return of it in Dominaria, which would be great. Even if they just did like Dominaria masterpieces like from the old sets. I think that would be great. And people would get the nostalgia feels and everything for it. I don't even care if most of those cards aren't worth that much. I think it would be awesome.
It would be a good pickup.
Yeah, but man, I mean, how? Gosh. Of course, we don't see the other side of it. Maybe there's a lot of
researchers. I'm sure there is.
There's probably a lot of bureaucracy and research and development, blah blah blah, that has to,
We could take a million guesses and be wrong as to why they did something. Like, yeah, dude, I don't know.
So it's hard to like rag on Wizards because they do such a good job at most things, but sometimes it's just like, come on, guys. On
a side note, I always wonder if we like hype too much, or if we like dog too much. It's a good thing. They do good. I mean, their game has survived 25 years for a reason. They're doing a good job, but I think.
And you're still talking about it.
Yeah, really.
I'd still be talking about it.
And I could make up my mind today, and tomorrow I'd be like, oh man, like they'd blow me out of the water if they went back to Shards of Alara.
How much? Like how crazy was seeing pirates and dinosaurs?
Yeah.
And that could be another whole argument on the side of, is it too much? Because if you think about it, the excitement for Ixalan is already gone.
Yep.
Like the excitement for Rivals of Ixalan is pretty much already gone. Like the surprise is there. Like it's almost that instant gratification thing. It's just like we're so used to getting exactly what we want that we're so
it's not
exciting. Yeah. Just like
how many people have quit the game and come back?
Oh yeah.
I think
I know a lot of people.
There's probably a huge surge. We see so many, and I mean, like, that's a good question, Greg. Like, and I'm sure they know.
Yeah.
Like,
but just to have a game that popular that will bring people back nostalgically, they played college or something.
Yeah.
And they said that game's still around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got my kid, and he's 10. I want to teach him. Like, it's almost like Dungeons and Dragons. We get a lot of fathers or like moms that say, I want my kids to play. Like, we had a mom that came in and said, my daughter's 12, and when I was like 10, I was playing D&D. Like, she bought a starter set and all this stuff, and I know we're going way, way off, but like, like, it's that sort of, it's generational. Like, you think of Pokemon. Like, Chris was very, a year older than me. He played Pokemon, I played Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, if I had a younger sibling, I'd teach them Pokemon, and that's another X number of years. The difference between you and your siblings of that game being played.
Yeah. I wish my siblings would have gotten
about
cards.
Pokemon is the variations of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Not like
well,
magic. Because there's so many variations that it doesn't get tiresome of the same. Like, if there was only standard, can you imagine?
Oh, yeah. I don't think people would play as much,
Well, going to Pokemon, kind of branching off here again.
This is the most, like, wacky...
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
You talk about Pokemon, and you look at their holiday pack compared to, like, the holiday pack that Wizards just put out. Now, their pack isn't necessarily a holiday pack. Theirs is, like, a release of cards that... Like, they do special promos, blah, 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 for each time. Like, essentially, a card really gets expensive. They shoot out a promo version of that card in a box set that comes with whatever X amount of packs and a whole bunch of other promo cards. They have got this nailed. Mm-hmm. And, I think Wizards should have just gone ham with this. I think they should have just copied it, honestly. Like, there's no copyright or anything on anything like that. It's just an idea. So they could have done that. It would have been perfect. The holiday pack would have probably sold a lot better than it is probably going to sell. Mm-hmm. Like, the lands were a great idea. I love that. But really, the two cards that they included on there, they're regular foils of the regular cards.
And you've got a special spot for one of them, and you're just like,
okay, I got this one. Cool.
Yeah.
So I know that's completely off topic, but
it makes sense. Like, they missed a mark there a little. Yeah.
They could have. I mean, even if it were the same two cards, but they had alternate art on them, like full arts, it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But really, guys, once again, like, even if the dice was different, I know we just talked about this, but my God.
Boy, dude, it's tough.
Yeah. I know a lot of people have talked that one to death, which is why I didn't want to make it a topic, but I was just kind of essentially repeating what I agree with that, and a lot of people are spot on, because really, it's just like, how dumb does this have to be for you guys to realize that it works?
Yeah. I had a customer even today say, oh, did you hear these? This isn't worth it. Like, and like, my one thing, and I think we talked about this last episode as well, I hope that Wizards know something we don't, and Metalware, Colossus, and Karizev are going to tear it up in the next, no, probably not.
No. I mean,
that's the one, like, glimmer of hope.
It's not. I mean, the only one that even has a chance is Karizev, but it's not. It's just an add-in on the pirate deck. It's a legendary creature, first of all, so it's hard to run multiple sets of that. Mm-hmm. It's a 2-cost creature. It's good. Believe me, I know it's good.
Yeah.
But is it, like, gonna be the next Legacy / Modern / Standard All-Star? No. Mm-hmm. And Metalwar Colossus is way past its day. Like, we're cycling out of that. It's all going to be dinosaurs and pirates, and there's a small little bit of artifacts in there, but it's not Kaladesh anymore.
No.
So, yeah.
Well.
So there, yeah.
Yeah. Try to, figure out where we stand on all these.
Yeah, really.
Because we kind of, I've gone all over the place.
Well, like you said earlier, it's hard to know what they're thinking and say that they're wrong, because obviously the game has lasted for as long as it has, but there definitely are some things where it's just like, guys, you could do this differently, but we're not the ones that are behind the driver wheel.
The last couple of years, they have made changes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They went from 3 sets to 2 sets, and then they weren't happy with that, so now they're going back to 3 sets. So they are evolving and re-evolving, and they're listening to the public, which is good. Yeah. That's how business stays in business.
Yeah. And I have no doubt in my mind that we won't be talking about this for the next 10 years. If we continue this podcast, we'll have something to talk about for whatever X amount of years. Yeah, I think the only thing that can kill Wizards is itself.
Yep.
And that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
And, I don't think they've made any damning decisions yet. They're still on point. They're probably still making record profits or whatever.
The record people, like, coming to events and returning, and, yeah.
I just hope we don't get to a point where that number becomes way more important than the game to them, which it could have already happened. We just don't know about it. It's just like, it's hard to see something that you love get turned into a numbers thing. It's just like, this is, for me, it's the game. I enjoy playing it, but for them, it's the money and the profit that it brings them. Maybe not so much like Mark Rosewater, but Hasbro is a good example.
Somebody in a boardroom.
Yeah,
we'll say
they're there to maximize the profits, not make a fun game for everybody. That's the creative team's job.
One thing that's sad that I believe is how they treated their artists. At one point, they were paying them pretty decent, and then they kind of cut away, and then the poor artists, they were like starving. They were having to do things on the side, and now you see a lot of the artists at these events selling tokens, just to try to make doing like ends meet.
Well, and that's so crazy too, because the quality of the art has gone through the roof. Like in the last couple of years, the quality has just, I'm just like, wow. If you may not know, I do a lot of art on the side. And I see some of these things. It's like it'd take me 20 years to do that. Like I haven't learned those skills at all.
You know what? A lot of collectors just love the art.
Yeah,
they'll collect cards because the art on them.
And that's where so often anybody who's out of the game or returning, they'll say, the reason I started this is because this looks amazing, and it's like alpha stuff, like where the art wasn't so great and it wasn't all like computer generated.
Oh, you're gonna get a few comments for that.
Yeah, really, like they're classic, and some of the cards are great. Some of them aren't, but like, I think, the art is a huge thing about it, and that does suck. Like the same thing happened kind of with judges I've heard recently, where they're not being compensated as much, and
the TO has to pay them now, and then they have to be voted on to receive the promos.
The promos and stuff, And I had heard, I guess a little bit before, like people had to sell, like there was. Somehow they'd get you to these big tournaments if you were high up judge, but they stopped that or something, and they said, "Here's your promos," and you pretty much.
What I heard was the judges were selling their promos
just
during
to get
the
there.
Events, instead of actually judging, and that caused a big rift.
Oh yeah,
it's
just to stay at the event, just to stay in their room basically, and it's just like you can't do that.
It's tough, and I sure as hell don't have the right answer. But
no. But a lot has changed towards the right direction, in my opinion, on that. And it really got scary there for a second, because it's just like, wow, there's actual like litigation going on with this, and there still is, obviously. But it's just like, how boneheaded do you have to be to realize that eventually these people are going to want to be compensated for what they've done?
What they're doing,
And it's just like, you can't, maybe. It's just like, I don't know, some kid working at a movie theater, for the first couple of months or whatever, they may work for free to get in to see movies. But after a little while, they're going to want to get some money.
Yeah.
Because that's how the world works. You need money to live.
And you don't see a big influx of judges, people wanting to be judges anymore.
Well, no, because it's super hard.
And it's super hard.
It's like getting a degree.
The compensation's not there.
And the pathway has been like shrunk, as far as I know. There's no rules advisor.
Well, and I hear there's a lot of politics involved too. Like there's a lot of like, well, do we like you? It's almost like getting into like a gallery or something like that. It's just like It's like
literally. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, are you like us?
Yeah. To get a level 1, you've got to meet a level 1, shadow them, and then go. Same thing. If you want to be a level 2, you got to meet a level 2 and like follow them around. And then, like you said, Greg, like it's not as simple as showing up and doing something you like. It's every 6 months you got to do this level event or you lose it. Like Chris was a level 1 judge for a while, but he just didn't have the time to go to a Saturday event once every 6 months.
You have a level 5
in the state, right?
Scott Marshall.
Yeah.
And he has tutored and mentored a lot of the judges, and he's very proud of what he does. He's in Phoenix right now, the Grand Canyon, taking pictures.
Yeah.
And he's very approachable. And he actually did one of our podcasts when I was doing the Colorado Magic podcast.
Yeah.
Little plug.
That'd be crazy. Who knows? What if one day he says I can't do that? Like. Family thing comes up, or
he helped develop the game. He was one of the testers, and
Just imagine if, like, I think in Theros they had a little card that said "Be a judge" in the back of each pack. You know, like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely, you know, we've gone way off topic now, but that's okay. Like I said in this on this episode, we'll put brackets, like a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, just talk about it, soup. Right?
Yeah, talk about it, soup. I don't know. Do you feel like we've talked about it?
I'd say so. And a lot more. So, one thing we forgot to mention at the beginning, in case you're all tuned out, if you're here. One thing we want to talk about is, like, we blab on about what we think is important. If you guys have something you want to hear our topic or our take on, let us know. If you think we're an idiot, if, like, a perfect example, Steve and I were racking our brains trying to figure out, mostly Steve, trying to figure out what's all come out this year, and we might be totally missing stuff, or some people may consider fad packs.
I don't think we are. But...
No, I think we did a pretty good job, but, like, you know, man, like, if there's anything you want us to talk about, or, you know, that we missed, like, let us know.
Or we can just keep coming up with topics. We're pretty good at it.
I think we are, actually. It's good.
Yeah, we're not bad. But viewer suggestions are always welcome.
Yeah,
I guess that's what we're boiling it down to. If you want us to talk about something, go for it.
And I talk a lot about the shop, and this is like a perfect thing. This is something I'd ask a person. Do you think you're overwhelmed on, like, what's coming out? Like,
well, I like that you've got that perspective, because, like I said, a lot of other podcasts probably don't have that.
Yeah, maybe not. So
anyway, before we ramble on for another 20 minutes.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Thank you.